Hello there, my name is Amy and I'm here talking about why does pop astrology just doesn't work for everyone even though it's very mainstream. And just to give you an idea of why this is, I'm going to explain to you as an image consultant who likes to incorporate astrology for my clients to help them to become their authentic, unapologetic self, to put it that way. Because at the end of the day, we have all of these different systems, but we are all meant to have our own cosmic signature, to put it that way. Because I remember back in 2020, when we were all on TikTok, we were all figuring out like what does our Venus sign supposed to represent for. I have interpreted this for myself just to see, because I was same as everyone else. Oh, what is it like my Venus sign is supposed to be? Because not everyone resonates with their sun sign. Like back in the early 2000s, looking through 70 magazine to figure out like how are they supposed to dress. So for me, like being a Virgo, I'm not someone who likes to dress like earthy tones. That's how it was interpreted back in those days. But in reality, it's actually quite the opposite. So I'm not 100% like my Virgo sign. Then we have the Venus sign, as I was talking about earlier, which in my case, my Venus sign is in Scorpio. I love punk culture and everything, but that is personally not my cup of tea. I'm personally not a participant of the culture. I appreciate it, but it wasn't for me. So Venus sign out the window. Second, well, technically third, you look at your rising sign, because the rising sign represents who you are being at around the start of your first house, which in my case is Aries. I'm like, okay, Aries, yes, we have a bit of a tomboyish, streetwear, casual aspect of it all. But that's not all of it, because I am someone who likes to wear lots of pastels. I like girly things. I like very pink things, but that is something that was like hidden within myself. And now being older, I appreciate that's a part of who I am. But then working with an astrologer for the last 2.5 years, it made me realize there's very interesting nuances and aspects that we should consider, which is what is that rising sign's rulership? But we have to think about is the traditional rulership. In my case, it's Mars. My Mars just happens to be in Cancer, which like comfortable clothing, like cute, warm, homey aspects to it. And I'm like, okay, let's decipher this even further down the line. This is not to say your Venus sign is not relevant, because all the planetary aspects on our chart make sense. But if you really want to know more, which I forgot to mention, you could always go to astro.com, look it up, plug in your details, and you will get your chart for free. We love free things over here. And yeah, if you're ever keen to know more about your personal style astrology, you could always book a session with me down in the link in this description, because I don't just talk about astrology. I also offer in terms of personal color analysis and also your facial beauty and your style, to put it all in one big package. Because how I like to approach this is more of a modular system, how we put things all together to create one cohesive solution just for you. So back to the video. So this made me realize there are 4 very important things that people have to consider, which is 1, what is your big 3? Big 3 is very important because that is who we are as individuals, because you could be born on the same day, same year, everything. But the time makes a big difference, because you are who you are at the time you are born, because rising sign changes like every few hours. Think about this as a bigger picture. There are billions of people on this planet. Do you think billions or so more people are just 12 signs? I don't think so, because we're so much more nuanced and mix of different things to make us as human beings. So that's where the big 3 comes in, plays a very important role. So we have our big 3. We have the rulership, which is based on our rising sign. which I'm going to put on the side if you want to know what is the traditional rulership for your rising sign. So what you do is you look up what is the rising sign on your birth chart. So in my case, it was just using another example. We have Pisces. Pisces has two rulership. There's Jupiter and Neptune. Jupiter is the traditional rulership. Neptune is the newer rulership. So you look at Jupiter on your chart, where it's located under that sign, and that helps you bring a better idea of that energy into how you style. So you look at Jupiter, where it's located, and what is that sign under? So you could put that into perspective. So in my case, it was Aries, Mars in Cancer, to put it that way. Third, you have to consider the aspects, the relationship of these planets with one another. Are they in opposition? Are they squared? All of these words, meaning like how do these planets interact with one another? Because there could be some harmonious aspects to it all. Do they work well together? Or are they in a trine, which is much more harmonious? Or are they much more in challenge with one another? Because if you have difficult aspects, especially with Saturn, Pluto, and some of more challenging planets into your sphere, it can be hard if you really want to embrace more of your Venus sign, but that added challenge makes it a bit difficult, which is nothing to be shameful of. It's something that we have to acknowledge and know what to do to move forward, because we want to be our best self, but why is it that we're stuck in the way that we do? So that's something to consider. And last but not least, you have to think about where is your houses, especially where your sun is located. Because the house, not the house, the sun represents like who you are at your soul's core of who you are as a person, where it's located with that house. That explains about the environment, how you could apply it and stuff. So in my case, being Mars in Cancer, and my sun is being in the 6th house. 6th house represents work, daily life, health-oriented, coordination, and so forth. Very Virgo characteristics, not just because Virgo is there, but that just happens to be what the 6th house represents. It makes sense that I love a good matching set with good coordinated color palettes, and things just looks very cohesive. It has to look harmonious in my point of view. So that's where the houses needs to come in. But we could go into more nuances like the various degrees and everything like that. But that's very multi-layered, to put it that way. And just to end this off, it's just to show that astrology is very representative of the human experience. We're much more multi-layered than what we would give ourselves credit for. We like to be boxed because it just makes it more simple to understand. But not everything has to be as simplified so everyone can understand who we are as individuals, because everything in our life is very modularized, like a Lego set. We have different experiences that impact us of who we are as a person. And that should apply the same way we apply in our fashion, because we have the license to try things and see what resonates with us in the moment. So we are never meant to copy just a certain aesthetic and that system. We're meant to grow as individuals representing chapters in our lives. Because at the end of the day, we have our own cosmic signature. So if you like this kind of content and videos, I would highly recommend you to subscribe to this channel so you can follow more of my studies and interpretations. And if you want much more like micro essays for your liking, follow my other social medias. But if you want much more of a deeper dive of what's bigger than life, I recommend you could subscribe to my Substack newsletter. And I hope you really enjoyed this video, because funny enough, this is actually like my 3rd time recording this because it just didn't feel right. But this moment, it feels just right. So, anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a brilliant day ahead of you or for the week. Thank you.